In this video, we're looking at 6 properties in suburbia, checking out decisions made by planning appeal inspectors. In every case, the householder is appealing against a condition applied by the council that removed certain permitted development rights. The first property is at the end of this cul-de-sac. The planning application was for an infill, a 2-bedroomed house between these two. The approved application included a condition removing permitted development rights to classes A and B, thus preventing the future addition of side and rear extensions, plus any roof conversions. The inspector noted that the council did not provide any submissions to justify attaching this condition. From the site visit, the inspector is unable to identify any clear harm for current or future occupiers, or any harm to the character of the area if Class A or B development were to occur. The council have a clear obligation to justify conditions that remove permitted development rights, and they failed to do this. In conclusion, the condition does not meet 3 of the so-called 6 tests. It's not necessary, it's not relevant to the development, and it's not reasonable. And thus the appeal was allowed. You can see that it's difficult for the inspector to arrive at an alternative decision if the council does not justify the removal of the householder's rights. There's one comment by the inspector that has me a little perplexed. He refers to the removal of classes A and B as a blanket removal of freedoms to carry out small-scale alterations. This term blanket removal has commonly been used by other inspectors when all classes from A through to E have been removed. It might therefore be a stretch to say that removal of just 2 of them, albeit 2 of the most impactful, is a blanket removal. Fortunately, this interpretation was not critical in this case. I'll return to the subject of blanket removal in later videos as we come across different interpretations by different inspectors. The next case is a vacant plot, and the application was for a new detached house with integral garage. This is the view of the plot from the north, and this is the view of the plot from the south. The approved application included a condition removing permitted development rights to classes A, B and C. So that affects future extensions to the side and rear, roof conversions and roof lights. The inspector observed that there was little space to add a side extension. Any such addition would be largely obscured by number 14. A single-storey rear extension would not be visible from the street. Neither would any roof extension. All possible extensions would be small scale and would not disrupt the character or appearance of the area. Removal of the permitted development rights to protect character and appearance was not justified. The framework requires removal of permitted development rights to be justified, and this has not occurred. In the absence of clear justification, the inspector allowed the appeal. Here, the owner of number 88 built a house in their side garden and then received approval to add single-storey rear extensions to both houses. However, the approval removed classes A to F of the permitted development, on the basis that the rear gardens had become too small to accommodate any further development. The inspector made the point that should a roof conversion be permitted to create a 4th bedroom at number 88, there would not be the corresponding amenity space available in the tiny garden for this level of occupation. There was therefore some justification for the condition, but not all the classes. For number 90, the garden was larger and he saw no justification for the condition. So, the appeal was allowed in that it resulted in the restoration of some of the classes. In this case, the infill property has been completed. The site is positioned alongside a lane, which distances the new house away from one of the neighbours. Approval for the development removed Class A of the permitted development rights, affecting future side and rear extensions. The council's reason for the condition was to maintain the visual amenities of the area. The inspector found the reasoning to be non-specific to the site. On the basis that the separation distances were fine, the appeal was allowed. This concerns an application approved for a rear extension to a bungalow. The approval removed all permitted development rights, stating the reason was to remove overdevelopment of the building and to safeguard amenities of neighbours. The council expressed concern that a dormer extension might allow overlooking and a loss of privacy to neighbours. I find this a little odd. The bungalow is actually overlooked by side windows from a two-storey house. The inspector stated the condition was neither relevant to the development nor necessary for the development to take place. That's 2 of the required 6 conditions knocked out. Furthermore, the inspector did not consider that the exercise of permitted development rights would lead to an overdevelopment of the building, or would impact the amenities of the neighbours or future neighbours, and the appeal was allowed. The last property is a 6-bedroomed mid-terrace house that has been converted into 2 dwellings, a 1-bedroomed house and a 3-bedroomed house. The condition applied by the council removed permitted development rights under classes A to E. The division of the property had resulted in limited rear garden space, and the inspector considered that exercising permitted development rights would impact on the garden space, affecting the amenity for both residents and neighbours. It would also affect the character of the area. In this respect, the inspector considered it reasonable to remove classes A, B and E. The permitted development rights to add skylights and a porch were left in place, and the appeal was allowed on this basis. That's it for this video. Please like or subscribe if you found it useful, and next week we're looking at properties in the open countryside. Thanks for watching. See you next week.